Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darknesses of other people. Carl Jung. Carl Jung's insight speaks to the concept of self-awareness and its importance in interpersonal dynamics. He suggests that by confronting and understanding our own inner shadows, our fears, weaknesses, and negative impulses, we are better equipped to navigate and respond to those traits in others. This self-knowledge enables empathy and reduces projection, where one might otherwise attribute their own undesirable characteristics to someone else. Jung's idea is that through this inner work, we can develop a greater capacity for compassion and a more nuanced understanding of human behavior. By recognizing and accepting our own darkness, we can engage with others from a place of authenticity and wisdom, potentially fostering healthier relationships and personal growth. We cannot change anything until we accept it. Condemnation does not liberate, it oppresses. Carl Jung. Carl Jung's words here emphasize the fundamental step of acceptance in the process of change. He points out that before any transformation can occur, there must be an acknowledgement of the current reality. Condemnation, or the act of passing judgment, serves only to reinforce resistance and denial, creating a barrier to progress. Jung is highlighting the counterproductive nature of criticism when it comes to personal growth or societal change. Acceptance does not mean agreement or resignation, but rather recognizing the truth of a situation or a personal trait. It's a prerequisite for understanding the complexities involved and for initiating any meaningful improvement. Once acceptance is in place, one can approach the situation with clarity, take responsibility, and begin the work needed to effect change. This philosophy underscores the power of acceptance as a liberating force that frees individuals from the confines of denial and defensiveness.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more valuable quotes from the legends.
In all chaos there is a cosmos, and all disorder a secret order. Carl Jung. Carl Jung's statement suggests that within the apparent randomness and disarray of life, there is an underlying structure and purpose. The term chaos refers to what seems to be random or lacking in order, while cosmos represents the universe viewed as an orderly and harmonious system. Jung believed that what we perceive as chaotic may only be so due to our limited understanding of the bigger picture. The idea of a secret order implies that there are patterns and meanings beneath the surface of events that may not be immediately evident. This perspective encourages looking beyond the surface tumult to discern the deeper order that governs reality, often revealed through symbols and patterns in both the external world and the internal psychological landscape. His concept aligns with his broader theories on the collective unconscious and archetypes, suggesting that there is a shared structure to human experience and consciousness that can provide insight into seemingly disordered phenomena. Jung's thought invites us to consider that within the chaos of our lives, there exists the potential for growth, transformation, and the realization of a greater design. There is no coming to consciousness without pain. Carl Jung. Carl Jung's statement reflects his belief in the challenging nature of personal growth and self-realization. He suggests that becoming truly aware of oneself, including one's flaws, fears, and the unconscious aspects of one's personality, often involves discomfort and emotional suffering. This process, sometimes referred to as individuation in Jungian psychology, involves confronting parts of oneself that may have been repressed or ignored. The pain Jung refers to is not just physical but emotional and psychological. It can stem from facing hard truths, reassessing beliefs, or enduring the psychological turmoil that can accompany significant changes in one's self-perception. This pain is seen as a necessary part of the transformative process, leading to a more integrated and authentic sense of self. Jung's acknowledgement of pain as a component of consciousness raising is a sobering reminder that growth is not always easy or comfortable, but is often a byproduct of struggle and self-confrontation. It is through enduring and working through this pain that individuals can achieve a higher level of self-awareness and personal development. The pendulum of the mind alternates between sense and nonsense, not between right and wrong. Carl Jung. Carl Jung's observation challenges the simplistic binary of right and wrong, suggesting instead that the human psyche oscillates between rationality and absurdity. He acknowledges the complexity of the mental processes and recognizes that our thoughts and behaviors are not always governed by moral judgments, but often by the interplay between logic and illogic. Jung's view reflects his deep understanding of the unconscious mind, which does not operate on principles of morality but on its own logic that often defies conventional reason. The pendulum metaphor suggests a dynamic movement back and forth, indicating that our minds are in a constant state of flux and transition. This quote points to the idea that humans are not merely rational creatures, but are also driven by whims, emotions, and irrational thoughts. By recognizing this, we can better understand and accept the full range of our mental experiences without hastily categorizing them as right or wrong. Jung's perspective encourages a more nuanced and compassionate approach to understanding human behavior and thought processes. The word happy would lose its meaning if it were not balanced by sadness. Carl Jung. Carl Jung's statement reflects the concept of duality in human experience, suggesting that the full appreciation of one emotion is often dependent on our knowledge of its opposite. Happiness, in this view, is given depth and context by sadness. Without ever experiencing sadness, it would be difficult to understand or value the state of being happy. Jung recognized that life is a tapestry of contrasting emotions, and each one contributes to the richness of our experiences. This perspective doesn't just apply to happiness and sadness, but to all opposing forces and emotions. It is through the interplay of these opposites that we come to understand the breadth of the human condition. The implication is that the pursuit of a life filled with only one kind of emotion is not just unrealistic, but also undesirable, as it would render our emotional experiences flat and one-dimensional. Jung's insight invites us to embrace the full spectrum of our emotions, understanding that each has its place and purpose in shaping who we are and how we engage with the world. Knowledge rests not upon truth alone, but upon error also. Carl Jung. Carl Jung's statement underscores the complex relationship between knowledge, truth, and error. He suggests that the pursuit of knowledge is not a straightforward path of accumulating truths, but also involves navigating and learning from mistakes. Errors are seen as an integral part of the learning process, providing valuable lessons that contribute to a deeper understanding of the world. Jung's perspective aligns with the idea that trial and error is a fundamental method through which we learn, and that making mistakes is an essential step in the evolution of thought. Errors challenge existing beliefs and prompt further inquiry, which can lead to the refinement of knowledge and sometimes to the discovery of new truths. Moreover, Jung's assertion implies that truth is not always absolute and that our understanding of it can be shaped by the recognition and correction of misconceptions. This view encourages an approach to knowledge that is dynamic and open to revision, rather than static and dogmatic. It acknowledges the human capacity for misjudgment and error, but sees this as a catalyst for growth rather than a solely negative outcome. It all depends on how we look at things, and not how they are in themselves. Carl Jung. This quote from Carl Jung touches on the subjectivity of human perception and the idea that our individual perspectives shape our understanding of reality. He implies that there isn't a single, objective interpretation of events or objects in the world. Rather, our personal, cultural, and psychological filters determine how we perceive and make sense of things. Jung's statement challenges the notion of an absolute reality that is the same for everyone, suggesting instead that each person's experience of the world is unique, colored by their own mental processes, beliefs, and past experiences. This idea is fundamental in Jungian psychology, which emphasizes the role of the individual's psyche in creating a personal reality. The quote also speaks to the concept of phenomenology, which studies structures of consciousness as experienced from the first-person point of view. According to this philosophical approach, understanding the essence of phenomena requires considering how things appear to us in our consciousness, rather than assuming there is a fixed reality independent of our perception. By highlighting the importance of perspective, Jung invites us to consider the power we have to interpret and assign meaning to our experiences, and to recognize that our viewpoints might be one of many possible interpretations. The shoe that fits one person pinches another. There is no recipe for living that suits all cases. Carl Jung. Carl Jung's metaphor of the shoe illustrates the individuality of human experience and the futility of a one-size-fits-all approach to life. He acknowledges that each person has unique needs, circumstances, and paths to fulfillment. This idea is a cornerstone of his psychological theories, which emphasize the personal journey toward individuation, finding and becoming one's true self. The quote reflects Jung's belief in the importance of personal exploration and discovery. Just as a shoe must fit the contours of an individual's foot to be comfortable, so too must each person find the beliefs, values, and practices that suit their own inner nature and life conditions. Jung's perspective challenges prescriptive norms and universal solutions to life's complexities. He suggests that while wisdom can be shared, the application of advice or life strategies must be adapted to fit the nuances of each person's life. This encourages a more introspective and personalized approach to personal growth, where the individual's inner guidance and experiences are paramount. The least of things with a meaning is worth more in life than the greatest of things without it. Carl Jung. Carl Jung's statement speaks to the intrinsic value of meaning in human life. He posits that even the smallest, most insignificant object or experience can be of immense value if it holds meaning for an individual, whereas the grandest, most impressive thing may be utterly worthless if it lacks personal significance. This thought aligns with Jung's broader psychological theories, which emphasize the importance of finding personal meaning and purpose. He believed that a life rich in meaning is essential for psychological health and well-being. The search for meaning is a central human drive, and fulfilling this drive is more satisfying and sustaining than the pursuit of external success or material possessions devoid of personal relevance. Jung's quote encourages us to look beyond the surface value of things and to seek a deeper connection with the world around us. It serves as a reminder that it's not the objective size or scope of something that determines its true worth, but rather the subjective meaning it carries for us as individuals. Neurosis is always a substitute for legitimate suffering. Carl Jung. Carl Jung's statement on neurosis reflects his perspective on the psychological distress that arises when individuals avoid confronting painful realities or emotions. He viewed neurosis as a manifestation of unresolved psychological conflicts that could have been faced more directly. According to Jung, legitimate suffering is the conscious acknowledgement and processing of pain, which is an unavoidable part of life. By facing suffering head-on, individuals can grow and find meaning in their experiences. However, When people avoid this confrontation, whether out of fear, avoidance, or inability to cope, their psyche may produce neurotic symptoms as a way to cope with the unresolved issue indirectly. Neurotic behaviors and thoughts are thus seen as the psyche's attempt to deal with the underlying pain that has not been addressed properly. These symptoms can serve a purpose by signaling that there is an unresolved issue that requires attention. However, they are considered substitutes because they emerge in place of the more difficult, yet ultimately more healing, process of working through the actual suffering. Jung's approach to therapy often involved helping individuals to uncover and confront the root causes of their neuroses, thereby transforming their suffering into a constructive process of self-discovery and personal development. Masses are always breeding grounds of psychic epidemics. Carl Jung. Carl Jung's observation about the masses being breeding grounds for psychic epidemics reflects his concern with the collective psyche and how it can be influenced and swayed by shared beliefs and emotions. A psychic epidemic refers to a situation where a particular mindset or set of behaviors spreads rapidly among people, much like a contagious disease. Jung was interested in how ideas, emotions, and behaviors could proliferate through a population, leading to widespread psychological phenomena. These could include popular movements, ideologies, or even widespread anxieties and neuroses. He noted that individuals in a group can lose their sense of individuality and critical thinking, becoming more susceptible to suggestion and emotional contagion. This can lead to what he described as a group mind which can act very differently from the individuals within it when they are alone. The concept is related to Jung's ideas about the collective unconscious, the part of the unconscious mind containing memories and impulses common to all human beings. This collective aspect can be activated, for example, during periods of social stress or change, and can manifest in various ways, from benign trends to destructive mass movements. Jung's warning about psychic epidemics is a call for awareness of the powerful influence of the collective on the individual psyche and the importance of maintaining personal discernment within mass movements. It's a reminder to stay conscious of our own values and beliefs in the face of widespread societal pressures.